Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Clyde FC podcast as we count down to the big restart in just over 48 hours as we are recording. We are delighted to say that we have the boss, Danny LENNON, joining us to give us his thoughts and insights ahead of the big restart. And the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice that John Boyce has had quite the makeover. Unfortunately, Boyce has been stuck at work and unable to film, so I have drafted in my wife as a last-minute replacement, and so we'll see how this goes. I'm probably it's going to cost me, no doubt, because she'll want some type of repayment for this, so I'll deal with that in a few days' time. So first of all, Danny, how are things? How did you enjoy your break, or did you enjoy it at all?
Yeah. No, first and foremost, listen, it's great to be on there and get connected again with the supporters. You're looking well, Lynn. So yeah,
thank you.
Coverage doing you very, very well. But it's been, I think initially, the wee break, the first couple of weeks of it is okay. And we were given the timelines at that minute, at that given time that we.
Oh, I think we've lost audio.
Yeah,
we've lost audio there.
Back.
Bit there.
Yeah, you're back.
As my phone goes, is that going to? It's probably going to interfere with it, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I was getting an incoming call there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it might do then.
That never stops.
Well, I'm sure we'll work around it. We'll work around it, Danny. Don't worry.
We'll edit stuff out.
Yeah.
So, in terms of that, once you get by that initial, and then there's another delay on it. She's our good friend Nicholas put another emphasis on the lockdown. And you look to get back into that. When's it coming? When's it not? So. What we did do very well this time, we stayed connected as a group. We were on Zoom meetings on a Tuesday and a Thursday and on a Saturday and did what we had to do. And the boys came back in a very, very good shape. So it's been great to get them back in there after a long period away from one another there. So again, I'd mentioned the other week there, it was like taking your kids to Disneyland, Going into the first day, so it was. And let me tell you, there's more characters in that dressing room than there is in Disneyland.
I can imagine.
I'll let you tell us who Goofy is then. So with obviously training resumed, how's training been going? Are you quite happy with the standards? You mentioned that the players have returned in good physical condition.
Yeah,
everything looking sharp.
Yeah, they have. They've looked after themselves very well. Some of them have came back with, terrific shape. But that actually is totally different again for getting the movements and the mechanics going of what you would actually do in a specific, football pitch. And that's been hard to replicate, players going out there themselves, straight running, that type of thing. But what we did concentrate on was, particularly on a Tuesday and a Thursday, was doing a lot of core strength through Matty Fennick, the conditioning coach, and Jade. They put on a good programme. Alan would put on more of a hit programme on a Saturday, which went down well. And then the boys were given, maintenance programmes to do. And as they do come back in there and you then get the ball out, change of directions, the movements that you would need to get about a field. It puts a totally different emphasis on it in terms of the legs. So there was a lot of talking between myself and the staff that we get the balance right of where we had to go off, because we only had 6, including tonight. We only have 6 sessions, before our opening game against East Fife. So it's what you get in and the quality. And the most important thing is to try and get the players through it, very, very safely, and in one piece, so that when we do go into this very busy schedule that has now been put upon us, we can cope with it as best we can.
Yeah, we will obviously touch upon the schedule, which is probably a talking point that we could take at least half an hour, if not more, of the show on. With regards to kind of match sharpness, that's going to be hard to come by. There's only so much we can do on the training pitch. Do you think that the boys come Saturday, 3 o'clock, the match heads, the match faces will be on, they'll be ready to go, regardless of any kind of, say, friendlies or bounce matches?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And that was one of the aspects that we thought about prior to us getting the go-ahead again there was, right, we have 6 sessions. I had a host of second division clubs calling, wanting friendlies. But I knew with the heavy load that was going to come upon, why do you want to go and put your players through an environment where you can't really control it to the extent where, okay, they might get 45 minutes, but that might even be too much at that stage of going back there. So we made a conscious decision not to have any friendlies. And another part of that was that we wanted them to remain hungry for the games coming up, in terms of where we go. So there was a bit of balance to play there. When we go into this, you were just adding another fixture onto the load that you had. And, let's see when we get into this busy period how it pans out for us. But I'd like, we have done a lot of good work. PJ, Graham Diamond, Marcel Allen, we've worked very hard behind the scenes, to try to get a bit of depth back into the squad, for the vigorous programme that we do have coming up.
Absolutely.
Yep. Sorry, Lemmy, you're about to ask something.
I was about to interject just with around just kind of on that kind of last point to do with the squad depth and the fixture list, the quite congested one that's coming up. Obviously, you kind of mentioned that in your STV News segment last night, and the challenges that will bring. How confident are you that the squad are prepared to handle the kind of upcoming congested fixtures?
Yeah, well, it's like anything, Lynn. If we had a crystal ball, it would be absolutely fantastic. And again, I've spoken to the staff, spoken to the players that will be handling one game, at a time. It's good that you've maybe got a bulkier squad and that in there. But I've never been one of these ones that will say, right, we can rotate this, we can go that with a certain game. I feel that my job and my responsibility is to get the best fitting 11 week in and week out onto that pitch. And that's where we then need a little bit of honesty for the players. Everybody wants to play every single game, but we'll go through the vigorous programme, the recovery session, see how we feel. We have got a nucleus of young boys that have come in there that will bring good energy. They're full time. Therefore, these players are able to recover properly, whereas our own players or the part-time players have got to get back up at, in the morning and go to their daily jobs. So there's quite a demand and placed upon that. The busy schedule that's coming up, within 2 weeks, we're up north late 2 Tuesdays in a row. We are a very heavy programme there after that, particularly the one in Peterhead. So, and what we'll do, once we've handled that game and that game's out the road and we're coming back down in the coach, that's when we'll assess the group, see where we stand, see what the casualties are, if there's any, and that's where we need the importance and the feedback from the players and the coinciding with the medical staff and the conditioning staff that, we can get them recovered as best as we possibly can. Very, very much a welcome, a 5 substitutes, running. So there is.
Yeah. Indeed.
Do you envisage that Ian and Alana are going to be quite busy over the next few weeks? Have they get their hands on ice just now, just to keep them ready and ready to go?
There is. I mean, even just in the short period of the sessions that we have back there, you've got 1 or 2 wee niggles now, wee knocks. So 1 or 2 players have missed a couple of sessions, and every session counts at this moment in time, where we need them. So And that again is a balance, because I know that the players have had a lengthy period off and they all want to be available for every single game. But what we don't want them coming in is coming in for 30, 40 minutes in a game and then, you know, having to miss 2 or 3 games to making it worse and not being right in the first place. So this is where we need the depth in the squad. We need the players to be honest enough with us and how their legs and that feel. You know, and there's no better judge than your eye yourself, you know, and your gut feeling. So we'll use all the experience that myself, Alan, and the coaching staff have to try and make the right decisions.
Yeah, it was something we discussed with Tom Lang a few weeks ago when we had him on the show, and we were looking at obviously the very lengthy time that there's been between even just a training session, never mind an actual competitive match, to when the restart will be. And Tom said obviously that it's been well in excess of what you would normally do even in a pre-season. It's a longer gap than what they would be used to even in that side of things. So there's just nothing to compare what we've currently went through to anything else in football. So there will be a lot of challenges ahead for the players.
There is, but they welcome the challenges. And the good thing through it all is that every club, you know, maybe outside Partick Thistle and Falkirk, are going to be in the same position. These clubs having the benefit of being full-time, you know, obviously allows them that edge to recover well and to know what their players are doing, etc. Whereas every other club, their players have got to go out and earn, you know, for their fans. So, regarding that's important, that we look after them, and you know, and as I said there, see where that actually takes us, and try and get through this in one piece as best we possibly can.
Yeah, so obviously with regards to the squad, there's been a number of new signings. I'll quickly list them, and apologies if my pronunciation goes off here. So we have Jack Thompson, Zach Butterworth, and Kane Ritchie Hostler on loan from Rangers. Lewis Jameson from St Mirren on loan. And we also have Marky Monroe and Michael Mcclinchy, all signed since we last played competitively.
Yeah.
So could you give us a wee insight, just obviously, as to how some of the signings came about, and what the fans can expect from these guys?
Yeah, well, starting with Jack Thompson, Jack was obviously brought in one of the first ones in the January window there, and we were looking forward to Jack striking up a partnership in that midfield with Cammy Palmer. Unfortunately, Cammy, there was an offer in from Ireland. Rangers accepted it, and it was a good move for the player. And that's the most important thing in any of these relationships that you have with the clubs. Yes, it's got to be right for both clubs, but the most important person in the whole of it is always the player, in my opinion. So we were unfortunate to lose him. And Jack came in. Unfortunately, as soon as Jack came in, you know, the football was put on hold, and that was also the very same with Michael Mcclinchy. So it was, Michael had come in, trained with us for one session, I think it was, liked what we've seen, knew a great deal about him between his past and his fantastic career that he's had. And Michael had a few offers, but with the uncertainty whether you were going to get started back, etc., you know, we came up with a verbal agreement. You know, if we were to get started, then we would do something. So it's great that Michael, you know, waited upon us there. He'd seen the great setup that we have, how we wanted to go about it. He fitted in, and he'll bring a good bit of experience in there. Unfortunately, again, in that window, or that lockdown, we thought it was going to be a good period for the likes of Matty Shields, who had went through a lengthy injury. But unfortunately, Matty then needed surgery. So Rangers were good enough. They called back the loan, got the boy fixed up, but he's out for the rest of the season now. And then they gave us a list of players, you know, that we felt could add a little bit of depth to the squad and give us a helping hand, which will be very much welcome and needed. So Kane came in there, Kane Hostler. And if you look at Kane and you look at Zach, you might think they are the young players, but they're good young players, great energy. Kane's got particular fantastic pace, very direct, and Zach will come in there and he's a good one in terms of he can play a number of positions here. And again, depending on how the jigsaw fits at the end of each game, we don't know what piece is going to be broken or missing for that next time. So that is something that'll set him in good stead. Marky Monroe's been in with us for a lengthy period just before Christmas, and again, he's grown. I think he's had one or two games as Mark within that. We liked what we've seen, so we did, and he's got himself into absolutely fantastic shape. So again, he'll be pushing, in that full back area, that midfield area, and again, great energy what he brings upon in that area. So I think that leaves us possibly, room for one more loan player to come in, because we still have Josh Jack, and we've also taken in Lewis Jameson. Again, St Mirren have been fantastic to work with, and this boy really excites me. This is a kid that has been in and among St Mirren's first team all season. Perhaps not got the opportunities that he felt that he could have had, but nevertheless, he's been training with good experienced players. His levels are through the roof, and we just want to give him that bit of exposure that every kid needs, to come and play proper men's football. That's where we look for them, to see how they handle that. He's excited to come in and work along the side of David Goodwillie, and learn from that. So yeah, it's looking exciting in terms of what we've done. So as I said there, we've got one more loan deal to play with there, and we're working on one or two wee things at this moment in time.
I won't push you for names, obviously, Danny. I'll leave that to Lynn. She's a bit more persuasive.
The phone call that was actually the club that I was dealing with.
Oh, right, okay. Right. We'll make sure we're wrapped up sharp so you can get away.
Call back. You kind of, on your kind of last point again, Danny, that you've actually touched into, my next question was just around kind of some of these younger guys. How do you prepare them for first team football at this level, when perhaps if not kind of really had the experience of it yet, or might be their first experience of it? Or are you actually confident that, kind of given their abilities and enthusiasm, that they're more than ready for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything, you've got to give people access to an environment that they've not been used to. And it's then up to them to go in there and grasp that. Some grasp it a wee bit quicker than others, so they do. But I never ever think, when younger players come in for bigger clubs, I never ever think that a loan deal is a bad experience. It should, whether they play regularly or whether they don't, they're probably closer to that first team than they ever will be, at a Rangers now. Maybe not so much a St Mirren, but certainly at a Rangers. But, they'll be getting monitored there, and if they're good enough. And, what we can see with these academy players, technically they're very, very sound. So they are. The fault that I find in the academies is the physical side of the game, and that is something that they've got to come in and try and hit the ground running. A perfect example of that is Josh Jack. Josh Jack has got unbelievable ability, and a lovely player to go and play when conditions are perfect. The pitch is there, and there's no really that physical side of it. But when you put them in about the hustle and the bustle, and every team in our division doesn't get the ball down and play like most academies play on the ground. Sometimes it's over your head. About learning how to deal with that aspect of the game and what I call knockdown football. And that is something that he's came back on. worked hard on and had a deep think about it. And I can see him, he's getting close to players now. And I'm not asking players to go in and be physical and, hurt players, etc. But I'm certainly expecting them to get close and touch to go and get a toe in and try and get a nick on the ball. And that's the biggest aspect for me that these kids have to get to grip with. They can certainly handle the ball for fun, there's no doubt.
So probably Michael Mcclinchy, given his wealth of experience, he's got 54, 55 caps, I think, for New Zealand. Went to the 2010 World Cup with New Zealand, who were undefeated whilst they were there. So looking at these new players, they've got plenty of kind of role models around them. Michael Mcclinchy, David Goodwillie, as you touched upon, with young Lewis Jameson. So is that something you're going to obviously look to ask upon these guys to take them under the wing, help them on their way as they find their feet in first team football?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had, there's a good group of experienced players in there, starting for David Mitchell, who looks after the goalkeepers very well, as much as he's still a youngster himself. Tom Lang's a good leader. Big Kevin Nicol, is absolutely wonderful, in terms of recognising when somebody's head's down and when maybe somebody's not doing the right thing or what's acceptable. Kevin's not shy and going, just giving them a wee, quiet word, in terms of that's not the way that we do things here, or this is the way. And he's fantastic. David Goodwillie, players look up to him in terms of what he's achieved in the game. But I always feel that David is a wee bit different. David leads by example. I think, throughout my time as manager at St Mirren, David just comes and wants to enjoy training. And, you could be playing a game of tiddlywinks and David would want to come out. He would get his best shot. He's just that, you wouldn't think for where that boy's been in football, that he's playing, first division football. And I think that is that ingredients and that hunger that he has is obviously took him to where he was many years ago, at the top of his game. And it's something that's never left him.
Yeah, and you want that to become infectious, obviously. Yeah. I would assume as a manager, you want people to feed off of that and carry on.
I mean, I think the fans will see, I think the fans can take to wee Ali Love because they see that passion and that that determination, and every ball that Ali chases is a lost ball. He doesn't give up things easy, but, sometimes you've got to start playing with your brain a wee bit. And when you're getting to that age, sometimes chasing every ball isn't a bad thing. Yeah. And we love that passion. The most important thing that a manager needs is players that are going to run for him. If you've not got that to begin with, your tactics or whatever your game plan is goes out the window if they're not going to run. So that is the balance of what you've highlighted there with the younger players coming in, but they brought great energy. But also with the experienced players is to get that balance right.
Yep. You mentioned about obviously, unfortunately, Matthew Shields and his loan deal kind of having to be terminated early. Do you feel that's kind of left us a little light at left back? And is that something you, Graham, and PJ and Alan are taking a look at potentially with this remaining loan deal, for example, taking a look at to try and sort?
Yeah, I mean, ever since my time at the club, Lynn, it's always been an area where, you maybe get one in and you're happy with what you got, and then bang, something happens. And I was really comfortable with Matty Shields here. He was a good athlete. He was young. He was learning, and I'm certainly sure he would have, benefited from that first 8 games that he played, plus the cup games, that he would have certainly cashed in on that experience, and you would have seen, a more improved Matty Shields in there. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And as you said there, it does leave us a little bit of light. We are okay, and in certain other areas. But what we do have sometimes in a game of football, sometimes you've got to go and put, round pegs into square holes. Sometimes you've got to go and do that, and that is something that we'll try and establish, that we get a bit of depth in that area of the pitch there, which is probably the one that you would highlight, because we don't have a natural out and out left back at this moment in time, but we certainly have enough quality within the squad that can go and handle that, whether it be a game or two, at a time, or some right back coming to go and play left back. I'll often say to them, in the days of, Danny McGrain, you never knew he was the best I'd ever seen growing up. Was he a left back? Was he a right back? And you couldn't really tell. And I think, regardless of wherever anybody's given a job to go and do, they'll go and do it to the best of their ability. But as I said, it is something we're looking to get, because every coach, every manager, they want to have the right balance within the team. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, probably the next thing I was looking to touch upon, Danny, again linked to the transfers. It's been quite an odd transfer window, one in its length and with the makeup of the different leagues starting and not restarting. What we're seeing is a lot of loans probably going in the opposite direction from what would be seen as normal. So I think for the likes of East Fife, I think they've made a loan signing or two, if not from the Lowland League. So is that something that you would be open to if the right player was available? I suppose it's...
Yeah, these are all avenues that we've exploited throughout since coming back. Or when I say since coming back, I mean myself, Graham Diamond, we've been constantly at it, from lockdown, looking at every possible scenario that was going to face us. And I think every club out there, in the way that there's a lack of football at this moment in time, these kids, these good players that are playing maybe in the Lowland League now, good ones for East Kilbride and these bigger Lowland clubs at this moment in time. These experienced players there, they went for a reason. They went for good money. There's no doubt. And there's no use beating about the bush. That's why they're playing at level, because they're getting good money at that level. But now they don't have anywhere to go. So clubs or part-time clubs have now got an opportunity, because these guys want to come out and play also. And it's likewise with the younger players. There's no youth football getting played at this minute in time, so they need the access to go and play. So it's for the clubs involved in it, it's certainly a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's been something that I found quite interesting over the last few weeks, was just the manner of the transfer window, which was just been, as I say, just a bit odd looking. Have you found...
He's quite I've always found it a precarious, window, in terms that most people have always got their business done. You're looking in January, you're perhaps maybe getting players that haven't settled or lack of game time. Every now and again there's a wee one. It's never one that I've actually done a lot of business in as the January window, but this one's different because of the nature of the season that we find ourselves. Not just in society, in the world of football, have not experienced this pandemic.
Yeah.
Neither have, so there's a lot of uncertainty, going out there. And basically you were living, week to week in terms of what was going to happen. And the likes of these players now all becoming available, I feel for the players that aren't. You're still looking at a host of players that aren't going to go and play there. But the most important thing is that, this pandemic, and the uncertainty, everything that's happened, I'm sure once, the government, and we get a hold of that and everybody's getting vaccinated, etc., football will return when it is safe to do so in its full glory, sooner rather than later. And that's what I really hope for. Let's see the back of this season. Let's get it out of the way, and let's not have a pandemic interfering with our third season.
Oh, I could not agree more, Danny. I think when you look at how we as a club have been affected throughout this season, in relation to COVID and everything else, we've had obviously the issues with the number of players who tested positive.
Yeah.
The games obviously being postponed, and then the different breaks, culminating in only 8 league matches being played, and obviously now this hectic fixture schedule. Len, have you got anything you were wanting to add on the topic of transfers or anything
not
else?
really on transfers, just I suppose it's probably quite an unfair question to ask, but just in relation to obviously this possibly quite slightly curtailed season, and obviously kind of pre any split, do you have any sort of goals or targets for the season? Obviously I know it would be to stay in League One kind of first and foremost, but kind of do you have any, obviously kind of any even out with that you'd be able to share?
Yeah, we certainly do, and we want to go and get as many points in the bag as we possibly can. What I can say in my time at Clyde, we've always been strong finishers, particularly in the second half of the season. And again, looking at ourselves, at myself, the staff, the players after the first 8 games, in the league. And, I was never one to hide away that it was a roller coaster. But also in the back that we're playing through a season there that, you don't know how it affects every individual. But the longer it's come on, I'm starting to see that the group, and perhaps maybe even the Zoom calls and that we had, they were all mentally focused. And I think even just that connection, they seen one another, the 3 days a week, kept them. So we've got our aims and our ambitions. Yeah, safety is first and foremost, Lynn, but I certainly believe with the quality in the squad that we do have, there's more to come for them. And listen, talk's cheap. You've then got to put that into action, and we've got plenty of games in such a short period to go and try and do that.
Yep. Hopefully build up a bit of momentum as well. As well, unlike previously with just playing the 8 games, hopefully we've got the opposite problem, is that we can build on a momentum quite quickly instead.
The last game we failed to, I think, was it the last 2 games? I think we picked up positive results, and
Cove and Airdrie, I think, were the last 2 games. So we beat Cove and then we had the Airdrie game. Yeah,
but in terms of that I could certainly see a change in terms of the players and the confidence. For me, the last 3 games, David Goodwillie was certainly coming back to his own. There's no doubt about that. That's what I'm saying. We don't know how it's certainly had an effect one way or another. There was a period there where we went through, not so good results or performances, and I won't shy away from that. Not acceptable. And the players, feel the pain of that also, because we know that we can do so much better. And that is something that, again, we've got to look at the first 8 games and learn for the mistakes that we've made, learn. And again, it's like, everybody adding to these squads, it's again going to be a bit of cat and mouse and how to work everybody back out. Again, so it is.
When we had Ali Love on, he kind of did mention something to do with the kind of makeup of the matches, that there's been points where we've been very much in games, and then it's maybe just been something really, really silly, very basic, not defending your box or not clearing your lines. And we've shot ourselves in the foot by his own kind of words. So is that something that you would be looking to get the guys to improve on?
It's important that we look at that, and we analyse that we haven't been good enough in both boxes as our stats show this season. So that's important, that we defend as a team and that we attack as a team. And as I said there, it doesn't sit well with me, in terms of where we sit our goal difference, I'll look at that number 10 and it frustrates me. I don't even look at it now because I know it's and I know with the quality and the defenders and the quality of the goalkeepers that we have, that, you know, and that's not just an onus on the four are playing at the back and the goalkeeper. It comes right throughout the team, for the front, for David Goodwillie all the way back. And that is something that we've worked very hard upon in the last 5 training sessions, tonight being number 6, that we worked very hard on the transitions. You know, the lockdown gave Marcel a great opportunity to look back on those 8 games at great length. And, you know, in terms of transitions and winning the ball and going and attacking, it's something we'll certainly improved on. But in terms of when we're losing possession, you know, we don't need these players, you know, showing that they've made a mistake, turning away. You know, the player that gives it should be the hardest player to go and get that ball back. And all we're asking you to do is get back behind the ball and give us a shape to go and press it again. You know, so that is something that we've really emphasised. So the supporters, hopefully, you know, the games coming up, that they can see that, you know, that when we do lose possession, if it's not going to go and press immediately, that they can see, you know, 10 players plus the goalkeeper getting back behind that ball as quickly as possible.
Ready to work for it. Right, we'll move away from the slightly more formal business. We'll go slightly more informal now, Danny. We'll relax a wee bit to finish off with. Now, when we get the players on, we like to do a wee round of teammates where we'll throw some irrelevant questions at them to slag each other, for want of a better way, a phrase, just so they can rip into each other in a nice, friendly teammate manner. But we're going to do a slight difference. We're going to do it from your perspective on the current squad. So you can be as honest as you choose to be.
Right.
So very, very basic. I'll just give you a scenario and you tell me who is the best relatable to this. So we'll go for best trainer.
David Goodwillie.
Interestingly, I think Tom Lang had him as the worst trainer last time he was on. So yeah, you can maybe address that between the two tonight.
Yeah.
Worst trainer. Who do you need to give a bit up the backside to from time to time?
Nah, who would be the worst? Big Mark McNiff every now and again needs a wee jab. Christoph, you know, when we had Christoph available, I always felt that he was going through the motions in a couple of occasions. I'd probably go for they two.
Well, goodness, most skillful in the squad.
Most skillful.
Who's the one that the guys can't get the ball off at?
That would have been wee Chrissy Johnson, no doubt. So it would. But in terms of ball retention and now, Michael Mcclinchy holds on it very well, doesn't give it away cheap. Wee Mark Lamont, he protects it very, very well. Just need to realise that every pass doesn't have to be a through ball pass, you know. Yeah. They'll do something absolutely wonderful and you can't fault them for trying these passes, but sometimes there's a better and a safer option on. Goody always comes up with a good bit of magic, so he does.
Does he still try overhead kicks in training?
Sorry?
Does he try overhead kicks in training all the time? He's not done it in a match in a while. I'm just wondering if he's all right.
2 or 3. That's because Murray's been working on the boys he's crossing and they're actually trying to get the ball in front of him now. The best trainer just come to my mind, and I don't know how this is. Ross Cunningham's a very good trainer. So he is. Yeah.
Right, the next ones, this is where it gets probably a wee bit manic. We'll go for most intelligent.
Craig Cowie comes across as intelligent. So does Big Mark McNiff, to be perfectly honest.
Mark McNiff, he got put down once because, and I quote, he works for a bank. so he has to be intelligent. I can't remember who was who said that. It might have been Ali.
No, I think it was Mark Lamont, I think.
Was it Mark Lamont? Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember who said it, but yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think. Jamie Bain.
Yeah.
Aye, Jamie.
It's the first time Jamie's came up.
Yeah.
Right, we'll flip it.
Who he is?
We'll flip it. Who's the least intelligent, Danny?
Oh, Lamont.
Without hesitation. Again, that's that. I don't even know why I'm asking this now, because
it seems to be the common theme.
Mark, sometimes I'll sit there and I'll say to Alan and that, even on the bus, I'll say, he's meaning to be as daft as that, isn't he? He's playing along to us. And then sometimes I think he's winding me up. But honestly, I just think he's he didn't stick in at school too hard, but he certainly can play. There's no doubt about that. No. When I talk about intelligence, there's a big difference between somebody being intelligent, off the pitch to on it. Yeah. What I would say to Mark, he is certainly an intelligent player on it. So he is. He makes more often than not good decisions.
Yeah, like rattling that ball in at Cove. That was one of the best decisions this season.
Yeah, they're things that you look at. Even Mark as a younger player, and I don't think Mark over his time at Clyde has fulfilled that potential yet. He's you look at him, and where I always see wee Mark is, you see the best of Mark. See when you go down to 10 men. Mm-hmm. Mark Lamont always shines for me when we go to 10 men for some reason.
He's like a man possessed.
Yeah, I want to see that man possessed when it's 11v11, and that man getting more goals in terms of what his opportunities that he puts himself in and presents that he should get. And he has. I've always said that, and again, I've always had a wee dig about him in terms he's getting about the pitch, but again. He's trained absolutely fantastic these last couple of weeks.
He scored some crackers in his time as well. I think his first goal was away at Montrose where he cut inside and
one with the left foot.
Yeah, drilled it in the far top corner. He's absolutely got it in his locker. So more of that, please, Monty. We'll move off of teammates because we did get quite a few questions submitted, Danny, from fans and from some of your old backroom staff. So I hope you've got their numbers still and they haven't blocked you yet. So Chris Fahey would like to know, and I quote him here, when are you getting that Barnett cut?
Well, there's a surprise because I'm on the list to get one. And I'm hoping that'll have it for kick-off on Saturday.
There we go.
There you go.
Now, Joe Hayes asks if
this is that for the last 2 years, so he has and he grew it.
Well,
in fact, his hairline actually is like the way I want my fullbacks to be, is tucking in, helping the centre back.
Well, you might not like the next question, Danny, because Joe Hayes has asked if you want to buy a fridge after you get your Barnett cut.
Brilliant. Until that we have, and you either get this joke or you don't. So anybody that comes in, new players, etc., they'll go by me and I'll ask them, what size of shoe are you? And they'll tell me their shoe size and I'll say, do you want to buy a fridge? And they either get it or they just turn and say, walk away. Either always a laugh. It's good to see that I've had an influence in Joe and he's starting to steal my patter. I bet you that's the new rave at St Mirren.
I bet you
want to buy a fridge. So at this point, I thought Danny's going to cut us off if we just keep asking about his hair. So I stopped taking submitted questions thanks to Joe and Chris. So looking ahead to Saturday, Danny, it's a fairly tough fixture to kick off with against East Fife. What are you expecting from the Fifers?
Yeah, again, like ourselves, they'll be raring to go. they've added a bit of depth in their squad. You know, they've signed a very good one there in terms of Nathan Austin, where I've always felt a good strength of East Fife, particularly last season. They always had a good forward line. You know, they always had good depth within that. But like anything, we can also, in games going past, that we can see weaknesses within that as well. But what you will see, you'll see two very energetic teams for the first 15. first 15 and we'll see how it pans out for there. But as I said, both teams will try and bring their best. They've over the years, they know the division inside and out. They've got a good bit of experience within that, and they've did well over the relative years, and Dan's done a good job there. So, as I said, regardless of who's put in front of us on Saturday, we're just looking forward to crossing that white line and doing our best, you know, more importantly for all you supporters out there.
Yeah, I think, do you feel that there's an onus on getting a really quick start with this running? I know it's maybe a touch of a cliche, Danny, but do you think it more important than ever?
Listen, I think it's important that we take something from every game. Now, even that doesn't. You want to go and take 3 points. You want to go and take a point, you know. But sometimes, as managers and coaches, because you've maybe walked away empty-handed without points, you can always still take something from it, you know, because you know that you've maybe dominated a lot of the ball, doesn't guarantee you that you're going to get success, you know. So what we want to do, and as I said there, we've worked very hard on both transitions of when we have the ball and when we lose the ball. And that is the biggest thing. And I think if we get them right with the quality that we have, we should be able to have enough within that squad to go and handle. You know, what we've certainly done over the years, or the time that we spent in the first division, we've matched the big guns, no problem. The full-time clubs, we've matched the teams that want to come down and have a knockdown in a game of football. That's what we love. What we have to do is that bit, you know, that football stuff. That's what we have to do, and no wait to see what they're going to do. Let us impose upon these teams first and foremost. Let us lay gloves on them for a change.
Yeah. So just with that in mind, just conscious of time here, Danny, do you have a quick message for the Clyde fans just ahead of the end to this quite bizarre season?
Yeah, I do. I mean, first and foremost, you know, in terms of where it's been, I just want to send out my condolences to everybody that's lost a loved one, you know, the bully we out there. I think, you know, they're sadly missed but never forgotten, you know, and they'll very much be a part. And that seemed to be a lot of things that were coming. So, you know, the pain and the hurt that you're feeling, you know, as a family, we share that with you. Second of all, we miss you guys, you know, incredibly. It's exciting that we get back to training. It's exciting that we get back to games. But once you get into that mode of the games and you've not got that bully wee, you know, when you score a goal down in that bottom corner and you get the players running, I miss that. I miss that atmosphere terribly well, so I do. But as I said, the most important thing is that these are all taking care and keeping safe and well. And you know, let's get the back of this pandemic out of the way. Let's get in control of it, and hopefully we can see you all, you know, at the beginning of the new campaign.
Oh, absolutely, Danny. And for one, I think I'll be an emotional wreck in the first game back in the stand. The second we score, I'm just going to be the blubbering mess at the back of the stand. So apologies in advance for that, everyone.
I hope I see it many times.
Oh, you and me both. Danny, thank you very much for your time. It really is greatly appreciated. Lynn, thank you for stepping so ably in for Boise. That's the second time he's been replaced, and he should be getting concerned, in my opinion.
Looking for that full time.
I
don't see why not. I don't see why not.
You're certainly more favourable to look at than Boise.
Thank you very much. I will lord that over him for a while.
Forever, I dare say it, forever, Lynn. We are back again tomorrow, and we have Danny's partner in crime, Alan Moore, joining us live for a chat ahead of the the restart on Saturday. Along with it, we have Clyde's newest fan and Twitch entertainer, streamer extraordinaire, Scoops Callahan Gaming. So it's bound to be lively, just with Alan alone. But our new superfan Scoops is he's proven quite popular amongst our fan base. So I reckon it's going to be lively. So do get involved, 7 p.m. on State of Mind. Please do also subscribe to the State of Mind YouTube channel. It's at 10,500 followers and counting. Daily free content, football, music, the works. Always great stuff on there, not just ourselves. So until tomorrow night, Danny, obviously good luck to yourself and the boys for Saturday. We will be cheering you on from our living room. And until tomorrow night, come on the Bully Bee.